at ya, back at ya. Hey, yo, it's Master, coming at ya, coming at ya. Rhyme style disaster, coming at ya, back.
Guys, welcome to Outspoken. My name is Nigel Ashford. I'm just really excited because this is season 3, episode 1 of our show. Like, this is really amazing, and I'm just so happy that we made it here. We first started in 2020 on a dream, on a thought of how can we get LGBTQ issues out there, locally, nationally, and also now internationally. And to see that we went from 2020 and COVID on just starting something to building a brand that now we're on our 32nd episode, which I'm really amazing. And I just want to first say thank you to our fans. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you for people who like our pages and continue just to pass on these positive messages along. You have been so awesome. So again, just thank you for following us along and continue to follow. We do this for you. And like I always say, use our platform to your will. If you guys have a story, if you guys have anything that's relating to the LGBTQ community, that these issues or topics need to be talked about, we would love to have you on and bring you on to talk about them. Shout out also to X Creative. This is the workspace that I'm using. They are awesome. It is Black owned. They are in Atlanta, Georgia. So check them out. And guys, their setup is totally amazing. If we weren't doing the show, I'll probably just show you around and let you see it. But they're just truly amazing. Today, well, just to jump into what we are here for, today's episode is about LGBTQ individuals facing hardship, discrimination in Nigeria. There are rules, regulations that have been passed there that is making it very hard for people to be themselves, for people to live, for people to love who they love. And we want to continue to shed some light on these stories and on these topics. So joining us is Tim and Harry. I'm excited to have them on. Harry is a creative, a host, a video maker, a producer, director, documentary maker. He is amazing. We also have Tim, who's a writer and lawyer. So we're happy to bring them on. And here they are, Tim and Harry. Hey guys, how are you doing?
We're good. How are you doing?
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Doing really well. I just want to say thank you so much in coming on and talking about this amazing topic. I feel that as an American, we sometimes forget that there are things happening in different countries, and it's a lot of times worse. And I'm happy that you guys are on shedding some light on this topic of what's going on in Nigeria. Harry and Tim, you guys can tell us a little about yourself. Start, Tim, since you're to my right and already there. We're going to start with you, Tim. Where are you from? Where are you currently living now? And what has been your experience when dealing with Nigeria?
Hi, thank you for having me on this platform. My name is Tim. I am a legal practitioner and I am a writer as well from Nigeria, but currently I live in London, United Kingdom. basically, with my writing, I try to tell stories that are centered on queer folks, women, and underrepresented like minorities. I like to address how laws and public policies affect people that are at the intersection of so many oppressions. So um, Black folks, trans folks, queer folks, women, non-binary identities, and all of that. Being queer in Nigeria, or being a queer person in Nigeria, was it was a lot to handle. It was a lot to navigate, especially when you present the way I do. Uh, when you're gender non-conforming, basically, it becomes a whole lot to handle. You deal with a lot of harassment and a lot of questioning, and every day is a constant battle. Like you have to choose, is this the day I decide to live my truth or like live fully, or is this the day I like conform just to avoid some level of harassment on the streets or some level of harassment from state actors like the police and all of that. But yeah. Now I'm not in Nigeria anymore, and it's been a little bit easier to breathe and just be. But so
Gotcha.
far,
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Tim. Harry, tell me about yourself, Harry. Where are you from? Where are you currently living now? And what is your connection with Nigeria?
First of all, thank you again, Nigel, for having us on your platform. My name is Harry Itie. I'm a journalist from Nigeria, born and bred, lived there all my life. Right now, I am in Minnesota in the US. Nigeria is home, is where I was raised. Nigeria formed me. Nigeria is many things to me. Nigeria is also the place where, you know, you can't necessarily express yourself in the way that you would like, in the way that you would want. It's the place that I think I would just say it holds bittersweet memories for people, and I think that everybody who is LGBT plus, who is Nigerian, can attest to the fact that, you know, you can love and hate a place with the same level of intensity, you know, and that is our relationship with the country. And so for at least the past 4 years, I have been, you know, using the media for advocacy work when it comes to talking about the issues that the community is facing, and just sharing stories of, you know, of resilience, of hope, of, you know, of trying to get people, whether they're LGBT or not, to understand that behind all the comments on social media, behind the homophobia, behind the laws, they're actually real people, real people's experiences. People are actually living, you know, the struggle and living the life. And, you know, behind all of that, you know, we need to have a bit of empathy, you know? So that is what I do in a nutshell, basically.
Awesome. So you're touching all the spaces, all the areas. It just sounds like you're a superhero trying to save the world the best way that you can.
Not a superhero, but, you know, just doing my part. You know, we're all doing our part, you know. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. I kind of want to first start off in touching a little bit on the religion within Nigeria. There was a survey done about practicing religion, saying 49.3% of Nigerians who do practice religion are Christian, and 48% are Muslim. Now, and the remaining 2% belong to people of other religions. Now, many individuals, they combine indigenous beliefs and practices with Islam or the Christian community. Now, with some Christians, they reference Leviticus chapter 18 and chapter 20 and Genesis chapter 49, and as it pertains to their beliefs with homosexuality. And with the Quran, it narrates the story of the people of Lut, destroyed by the wrath of God because the men engaged in sinful sexual acts with one another. Is the Nigerian laws and regulations and customs, are they influenced by religion?
I assume this is for me. So, yes, I would say heavily yes. Nigeria is a very religious, and yeah, it's a very religious country, and almost all of the laws, despite the fact that we know that religion, morality, and all of that are not supposed to be the basis of laws, but most of our laws are made from a religious point of view, or what is right in Christianity or what is right in Islam. And this is majorly because Nigeria was colonized by the British. And during that colonization, most of these religious practices and religious doctrines was passed on or were passed on to us. And slowly and surely it seeped into the minds of the people, the hearts of the people. And these are some of, like, it has basically formed part of our belief system now. So I'll give an example with the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, which is one of the laws that criminalize coexistence, basically. Now, the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act is modeled or is fashioned after a UK judgment that defined marriage. And now this UK judgment was from the 80s, Hyde versus Hyde. It was the case Hyde versus Hyde. And the judge in that case defined marriage based on the Christian beliefs. And he said, I concede that marriage as understood in Christendom may for this purpose be defined as a voluntary union for life of one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others. So this definition was given strictly from a Christian point of view. And it didn't matter that, and this is what informed the passing of the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, because according to Nigerian laws now, a valid marriage has to subsist between one man and one woman for it to be valid. Now, it doesn't matter whether most of the people in Nigeria do not practice Christianity or do not practice, it doesn't matter if half of your population are gay or lesbians and they want to get married to the same sex. No, they are saying that Christianity says it has to be one man and one woman, and that is what we are going to do. And that is what they have fashioned the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act.
What are some of the penalties that are given to those that violate the act?
Okay, so in the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act specifically, there are various offenses, and those offenses carry different punishments. Now, if you get into a same-sex marriage or a civil union with someone of the same sex, you can face up to 14 years in prison for that. Now, if you register a gay club or a gay organization, or as gay individuals, you like associate with each other and like form a community or something like that, you could get up to 10 years in prison. And if you're a person who supports any gay person trying to get married or get into a civil partnership or a civil union, you could also get 10 years imprisonment for that. And if same-sex couples or people of the same sex show or display display affection in public, they could also get imprisoned for 10 years. So those are some of the penalties in the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act. But there are some other laws, there are a whole lot of other laws with different punishments as well. For example, in the North, where the penal code applies, you see the offense of lesbianism carries the punishment of death by stoning, actually. So in countries that in states where the penal code apply, you could actually get killed for being a lesbian.
Wow. Harry, I have a question for you. How does, or what have you seen in your experience when you was in Nigeria of how people commonly got caught, or what was the most regular way of people getting caught of being known that they were homosexual?
I think that and I think we touched on the documentary. We spoke about how the fact that the laws in Nigeria have sort of given regular Nigerians the power and the immunity the guts to be able to harass and, you know, treat queer people in despicable ways. And so you have state and non-state actors colluding together to harass queer citizens because they know that these laws exist, right? Team has mentioned 2 laws, you know. Then there's even there's the penal code brought by the British, there's the Sharia law, there's the SSMPA. All these laws all together, you know, are all encompassing meant to harass queer people. And these law enforcement officials know this. They know that, okay, these laws are going to, nobody wants to be caught up in the laws. Nobody wants to go to prison. Nobody wants to, you know, be paraded on TV as it happens in Nigeria when you are caught for, you know, anything, any crime, whatever. They bring the cameras out and they display you for the entire world to see. And so we've seen that happen to not even just queer folks, but to everybody in general. But it has happened to queer folks, before in 2018. And so because of stuff like this, there's harassment everywhere. So your neighbor who, for example, will suspect that you're maybe gay because, oh, you only have guys coming to your house. You know, there's been a woman that has shown up at your house since you moved into this apartment. They can harass you. They can call the boys on the streets. Those ones can come and, you know, create a scene. You know, there are people that have fled their houses, they have fled their jobs because of they've been outed. And so it is a very, it is not a very friendly space for people who are, you know, LGBT plus, right? It's not very friendly. You know, people who are gender non-conforming, people who are trans could be walking down the street and be harassed. So it's not the best experience for anybody who is LGBT in Nigeria.
Harry, how does that investigation happen? How do they go and literally interview you and ask you questions of, well, your neighbor said 5 men have been coming in and out of your house throughout the week. Are you gay? And what if those men were family members or just friends?
I feel like, and team may be able to attest to this, that the Nigerian society is not very individualistic like in other countries, right? Where everybody minds their business. Everybody's in your business in Nigeria, right? So people are looking at you and are studying you and are constantly trying to, you know, be in your space, right? And even just to take it a step further, right? All the apps, the dating apps, the Grinders, the Tinders, the Facebook, the Instagram, you know, all these apps have people who pretend that they are queer, that they're LGBT, and lure people, you know, lure unsuspecting individuals. And when they lure them in, they harass them. You know, last year there was a campaign in Nigeria called End Homophobia in Nigeria. The reason why that campaign started was because someone met someone online, an LGBT person met someone online who was one of those people, right? Met the person, and then when he got there, the person killed him. So that was the start of the End Homophobia in Nigeria campaign. So people have actually lost their lives, you know, over this situation. I remember a couple of years ago, it also happened to a woman who was, she thought she was talking to another lesbian, right? And then they met up at a hotel, and when she got to the hotel, it was men. There were men that were there, and then the men killed her also. So these things happen, you know. So all these scenarios are not something that you read in books. It's real life situations that are happening to real people. So, like I said, it's a thing of everybody is involved. The state actors are involved. Regular Nigerians are also involved, you know.
So, Harry, are there a lot of unsolved murders when it comes to the deaths of out LGBTQ individuals in Nigeria?
Definitely yes. The case that happened last year, we don't know what happened. All we saw the videos of the men confessing to what they did. But after that, I don't think we heard anything else. I don't know, Tim, did you hear anything? We've not had any follow-up as regards, you know, when these stories, there was a trans person who was murdered in our home in Abuja. We just heard that she was murdered in our home. After that, we didn't hear anything. There's never really any follow-up to what happens to these issues. And there are many more that are unrecorded, unreported. So while you have these cases that people are talking about, there are many more cases that the families don't want to talk about because of many reasons, including shame. You don't want people to know that, oh, your child or your father or your mother or your sibling was LGBT and was caught in this situation, and that's why, you know, they passed. So there's also that layer of people don't want to talk about it, they want to just sweep it under the rug. It's very multidimensional.
Gotcha. Harriet, is there any type of safe words, codes that Nigerians have created to try to make sure that this person might be gay online and this person is a safe person to go see, and that is not a plan or a strategic attack to get someone over to their home?
I don't know. For men, there really aren't any safe words. You just trust the universe that as you go on this journey, you come back alive. You know. I don't know if Tim had in her experience has any, but I don't. There really isn't, you know, any safe word. You just go, you check mutual friends, you ask your friends, oh, do you know this person? You go on Instagram, how many mutual friends do we have? How many people do I know? You know, and then you just, you know, trust your instinct. You know, you take all the precautions you can take. You know, you meet in public for the first time. You know, you try and establish boundaries. You know, but you know, you can do all of that, and you know, same thing happens. So, like I said, it's just you just trust the universe. It's just vibes at this point. You know, just trust that, you know, when you are about to meet someone, they are who they say they are. You know, and they're not somebody else.
Gotcha. Tim and here, I want to ask you guys both this. So, how is the stereotype of presenting when it comes to femininity and masculinity, when it's with women and they're more masculine? Do people just automatically assume, oh, this person is a lesbian, let us inform the authorities? You know, or Harry, if a person is more feminine, do people assume and just look at them in shame, even if they're not homosexual and if they're metrosexual? Tim, I want you to start with that.
Yes, there is, in Nigeria specifically, there are strict, should I say, concepts of how people should present based on their gender. And so if you're a woman who presents in a masculine way, or if you're a man who presents in a feminine way, and there's also the fact that there is this normative idea that these are the only gender identities that exist.
Mm-hmm.
So they just expect you to conform within those binary boxes that they have created, and everybody or anybody who presents outside those whose presentation do not fit into this binary construct, you're already very suspicious as a person. So it is based on these stereotypes that, oh, if you are someone they assume to be a man who looks too feminine, then automatically you must be gay. So you have cases. When I was in Nigeria, I worked as a paralegal with one of the NGOs that are focused on equality and human rights for Nigerians and centered on queer folks. As a paralegal, when some of the calls we'll get would be from gay men who had been arrested by the police. So the police would just look at them based on how they present. Maybe they look too fine, or they look too clean, or they look too neat, or something like that. And they would hold them just there by the roadside. Then they would arbitrarily go through their phones. And of course, if you look through the phone of a gay man, you will see some of the dating apps, or you will see pictures, or you will see chats or something. So once they find those things, they then get their confirmation that this person must be gay, and then they beat them up and harass them. And now sometimes they extort them. So they take money from them, and these people are they're forced to give them this money, because the alternative would be spend the night in jail or go through the whole legal process of going to court and all of that. And nobody wants that, so they let you extort them. For women, me personally, I have so many experiences of being stopped by policemen. It would be because they stop thinking, and when they look into the vehicle, they probably think it's a guy in the vehicle. And then when I speak, they realize, oh, okay, this is supposedly a woman. And then they start with the questions like, why you dressed like a boy? You think, say, you be man, and all of that. Then they quickly make two and two, and they try to say, oh, you're a lesbian and all of that. on one of those occasions, or one or two of those occasions, how I get out of it is to show my work ID. And then when they see that I'm a lawyer, most times they relax and they then start to soften their tone. But the periods where I'm not with my ID or I'm just going out with friends or something, it's a whole different story. There was a situation where it was around like midnight. I was coming back with my friends and all of us were mask presenting. So it was, one kept telling the other when they stopped us, thinking we were guys. When they found out, okay, even though nobody there or most of the people there were non-binary and gender non-conforming individuals, the other guy started telling, one of the police officers was telling his friend, oh, them be tomboys, them be tomboys, now lesbian, they're lesbians, like something like that. So they could immediately hold us on that ground. And it was dark, it was late, and the men kept saying, we'll shoot you people here or nothing will happen. And that was the reality of it. They could actually, like, the Nigerian police force is useless like that. They could actually shoot us there and nothing will happen. Our body would be there in the middle of the street. And if anybody were to ask them and they say, oh, they were lesbians, that would be all Nigerians needed to hear to like make it okay that we were killed that way. Like, if there's anything Nigerians are united on, is their homophobia. Like, that's the only thing that brings them together. I mean, last year we had the NSAS protest. And we were protesting against police brutality. And queer protesters went out, queer people went out to protest because they also suffer police brutality because of their presentation and their perceived sexual orientation and gender identity. But we had a bunch of Nigerians saying, oh, this is not the time for you to be protesting. Oh, you're taking something about shifting the focus of the movement. Why? So you are okay with the police killing queer folks, but not with killing, like when they are killing heterosexual folks, oh, it's not okay. But as long as it is queer folks that are being killed, then it's fine. Yeah. And that's just how it is. So yes, a lot of the harassment comes because they play into those stereotypes that, oh, if you present this way, then you might be a lesbian, and if you present this way, you might. And at the end of the day, it will touch everybody because, I mean, not everybody that presents in that, like, gender presentation and sexual orientation are not, they don't mean the same thing. Right. So you could actually have a heterosexual woman who presents in a masculine way, and then she gets harassed and she's killed. And so homophobia affects everybody. You could have heterosexual men who, like, maybe just hold hands and are friendly in a platonic way in public, and they will get in trouble because the law says public displays of affection is criminalized. Like, so these things affect everybody.
Oh wow, Harry, would you like to add anything to that?
Actually, no. I feel like Tim has hit the nail on the head with, just talking about how but these are the issues. These are the actual issues, And I tell people all the time, you think that because, like she said, Nigerians are very united with homophobia. Like, homophobia brings them together. It's like but the truth is this is going to affect everybody at some point. These laws, these assumptions that law enforcement people make, it's going to affect everybody, and it's why everybody needs to start to speak out against it. But people they believe what they believe, they hold their religion above everything else, and so they they don't want to reason and just understand that this is a human rights issue that we need to address before it becomes a big deal.
Yes. Guys, we're here with Tim and Harry with season 3, episode 1 of Outspoken. I have a lot more questions with them, but first we're going to go to a quick break and we'll be right back.
It's time to step up, prep up.
Step up, prep up.
To help keep you free from the risk of HIV.
From the makers of Truvada, there's another PrEP option, Descovy for PrEP, a once-daily prescription medicine that helps lower the chances of getting HIV through sex. It's not for everyone. Descovy for PrEP has not been studied in people assigned female at birth. Talk to your doctor to find out if it's right for you.
Step up for health and body.
Prep up for your one and only love, or many loves.
For kings, this queen, and you royals in between.
For my now.
Our now.
And my future. our future.
Step up, prep up. Discovery is another way to prep. Discovery does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so it's important to use safer sex practices and get tested regularly. You must be HIV negative to take Discovery for PrEP, so you need to get tested for HIV immediately before and at least every 3 months while taking it. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. They may check to confirm you are still HIV negative. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Discovery without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about your risk of HIV, and if Discovery for PrEP is right for you.
Words are loud, but actions are louder.
Step up.
Prep up.
With Discovery for PrEP.
Get help paying for Discovery for PrEP. Learn more at stepupprepup.com.
Rock style disaster coming at ya.
Yeah.
Back to Outspoken. We're here with Tim and Harry. Just to jump back in, Tim, I have a question for you. If caught in the act and arrested for something related to being LGBTQ or homosexuality, what would most lawyers advise their clients right before they're going into trial?
You know, the funny thing is that these cases rarely ever make it to court. That's the problem. And when it makes it to court, it rarely ever gets there on charges of homosexuality, because then you now have to prove that this person is a homosexual, and anything short of video evidence to show 2 men having sex or 2 women having sex becomes a problem. So what they do is, when they hold you on this on supposed charges of homosexuality, they then they throw in some other bogus charges like cultism, armed robbery, stealing, and all of that. So now you are trapped in a trial process, trying to defend yourself against allegations that you know nothing about. There was the case with the Equator 57 they were picked up at a birthday party, accused of being gay, and when the prosecutors saw that it's actually going to be difficult to prove this, they amended the charge sheets and put all sorts of allegations, cultism and robbery and stuff like that. So most times lawyers will try to argue that these sections or these laws are actually contrary to the Nigerian Constitution, because the Nigerian Constitution is the ground norm of the laws in Nigeria. That's the superior law in the country, and the Nigerian Constitution actually guarantees some basic rights that even queer people should enjoy. So the right to life, the right to privacy, the right to freedom of expression, the right to freedom of association and assembly. These are rights that are guaranteed in the Nigerian Constitution. So you cannot have the Nigerian Constitution protecting these rights, and then on the other hand, you have the SSMPA saying, queer people shouldn't gather, or queer people shouldn't form organizations. That's very contrary. It contradicts the Constitution already. And on the basis of that contradiction, the SSMPA is supposed to be an invalid law. So these are avenues that these are loopholes that lawyers can use if these cases go to court. Now you also have charters like the African Charter on Human Rights that Nigeria has ratified, and a whole lot of other conventions, like international conventions that guarantee and protect human rights. Nigeria has ratified all of these laws, and if there are any laws that breach these charters that they have ratified, it's not supposed to be enforced. So these are some of the loopholes we can use and just hope that it works out. But I can say for a fact that the Nigerian judicial process or the legal system is, one case can take years.
Wow.
It can take years.
And the
Yes.
person is in jail during those times, awaiting for trial.
Sometimes they go on. You're able to get bail. Sometimes they don't give you bail, and you're there. Sometimes you are in the police station and they've not even they've not even filed your case in court. So you're just there waiting, and there's no case in court at all. So this thing, like, while practicing in Nigeria, I've seen cases that were instituted as far back as 1999, and we're still handling those cases in 2018 because there's a whole lot of paperwork here. This one is filing this and filing that, and there are so many adjournments. And okay, let's assume you've spent years in the High Court and the High Court has given a decision. Someone else can take it to appeal, and when it gets to the appeal court, you spend another couple of years there, and then it finally gets to the Supreme Court, another couple of years there. So it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. So if it's a lot, but there are loopholes, and most times lawyers use those loopholes to get queer folks out of
out from that charge.
yeah.
You touched on it a little bit earlier during the show. I just want to go back towards it. It has to do with the Criminal Code Acts. And I'm just going to go through a couple of them. So Section 214, carnal knowledge against the order of nature with a penalty of 14 years imprisonment. It applies to sexual intercourse between men. Harry, how does the police find out who is having sex at the exact right time? And how do they know to bust in during this intercourse?
The truth is, you don't have to. You don't have. They don't have. They don't need anything. Just even in general, the Nigerian police doesn't need a reason to do anything to anybody. Just like on a general case, right? On a say people are shouting, "Oh, this person is a thief," they just take you up, right? So there's no reason, and that's why the NSAS protest was very significant, because of people were being charged for nothing, right? People were being arrested for nothing. It was a thing that was happening across the country, everywhere. And so when you have a system where law enforcement officials can do as they please with no consequences, where they can arrest, they can detain, they can just do anything because they have the badge and they have the uniform. Talk less of when it now has to do with people who are queer, people who society in general deems as outcast, as people who are choosing to do wrong things. You know, they're choosing to be bad people. They're choosing to be badly behaved. You know, there was a report that a news channel did in about being LGBT in Nigeria, and in the reports, a lawyer. This is someone that is supposed to be a lawyer. A lawyer said that if they found out their child was gay, they would kill their child on national television. The report is still on YouTube as I speak to you. So when you have that type of society, they don't need an excuse to do anything to you. They don't need a reason. You get they don't need a reason to arrest you on the basis of your perceived sexual orientation or gender identity. They will do it anyways. And we've seen that happen time and time and time again. So no matter how, if you are supposed to be, let's say you are femme as a guy, no matter how hard you try to mask up and to be a guy's guy, once someone says something, anything can happen from there. Literally anything can happen. And I'm not trying to exaggerate or anything or paint crazy scenarios. That is what it is,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Harry, what about criminalize registering, operating, or participating in gay clubs, societies, or organizations, or making a public show? When it comes to gay clubs, organizations, how do LGBTQ individuals how do they have underground clubs? Do they have like house parties? How does one entertain yourself and then find a way to safely surround yourself with your own community and have fun?
House parties help. We have organizations, but they are registered under as human rights organizations. So, and I can't register and say, oh, this is a LGBT organ. I can't register my organization as an LGBT organization because that is illegal. That I won't get registered. So a lot of organizations register under the umbrella of human rights, under the umbrella of HIV/AIDS advocacy. So they use that as an inroad to LGBT advocacy. And even with that, they have to, do it with some level of tact, and they have to be very careful how they engage, how they do their advocacy work. So yeah, so apart from that, but when it comes to clubs, we don't have any gay clubs, we don't have any gay spaces. Everything is very underground. It's you have if you want to hang out with your friends, you throw a party in your house and you do it, and make sure that your neighbors don't call the police on your party. Right. But yeah, that's how it works. I don't know if Tim wants to add something to that as from a much more legal perspective.
Gotcha. Yes, Tim. How can someone get around the legality of participating in a gay club or having a gay house party?
That's basically everything Harry has said, because the SSMPA does specifically prohibit the registering of gay clubs, organizing an association of like gay folks. So that provision makes it very difficult for organizations that would have been formed to actually help queer people in danger to actually even exist. Yeah. So they now have to try to cloak what they are so that they can, like, there is a gray area and they can actually carry out the activities that they want to carry out to the benefit of queer folks. So like Harry said, the umbrella term of human rights, that's mostly the way to go. And then if you want to do house parties and all of that, you just pray that nobody comes and brings police on you. Like everything has to be coded. Like even the simple task of finding a place to live. If you want to, like, especially in Lagos where housing is expensive, rent is expensive. So you see situations where people have to live together. So you're looking for a roommate and you have to go through, it becomes like FBI search to make sure that this my new roommate is not homophobic or so you're ticking things off your list, you're investigating, you and your friends are checking the person's social media to make sure that the person that is going to live here is not going to like be the person to rat me out to the police.
So because this is where your tax dollars are going.
Yeah.
Wow.
So things like that, you just have to, your safety is in your hands basically as a queer person. The state won't protect you. The laws won't protect you. Your fellow citizens won't protect you. So you are literally fighting for your life and your protection is in your hands. Wow. Or your safety is in your hands, yeah.
What is it like for, and Harry, I'm going to ask you this, what is it like for trans people in Nigeria?
I really can't really speak categorically to the trans experience because I'm not trans. But I can tell you categorically that it is way worse for them. Mm-hmm. It is way worse for people who are trans, people who are gender non-conforming, people who are non-binary. And there's just this casual transphobia that finds its way to conversation in Nigeria very easily, right? If someone says, this is how I want to be identified, people would decide that, okay, I would choose now to not identify you in that way. If someone says, oh, these are my pronouns, people will be like, now I will choose not to use your pronouns to address you. And so, yeah, they have it's really bad for trans folks. And that's just on a basic level. They're talking about people just having access to healthcare, having access to changing your documents, changing your names, using your new name, all that. That's an even different conversation entirely. It is not the best, but thankfully there are a few organizations now that are dedicated to, trans advocacy that are springing up. But obviously, like we had mentioned earlier on, if you can't get it registered, when an organization is not registered, it's hard for that organization to get funding. So, there's just so many layers, that affect the work. And so if I can't get funding because I can't register my organization, then I can't do the work that I'm supposed to be doing in the first place. So everybody is struggling and trying to, find your way, but it's really hard.
Did you want to say something, Tim?
Yeah, just going to speak on the fact that there's a huge erasure of trans identities in Nigeria. On a legal, from a legal perspective, you find that it's actually impossible for trans people to either change their gender markers or their names and all of that. Then even access to healthcare or trans affirming healthcare, getting hormone therapy, getting gender affirming surgeries, those things are not, you can't even get gender affirming surgeries in Nigeria. So any trans person who is seeking to medically transition has to go outside Nigeria to do that. And those surgeries are expensive. Like going outside Nigeria on its own is expensive.
Yeah.
And most queer people, they are not wealthy, or most queer Nigerians are poor.
Gotcha.
So that's just the reality of it. So they do not have the financial ability to actually go out of the country, get gender affirming surgeries and come back. Even the few who can, when they come back, they can't change their markers, they can't change their names, all of those things is impossible to do that. They can't access, I keep saying they when I should be saying we, but okay. but trans folks can actually access gender affirming was accessories like binders. When I was in Nigeria, I tried to get binders and impossible. It was very impossible to do that. So these are some of the challenges, and the fact that people there's this assumption that trans people do not even exist in Nigeria. So nobody is talking about this. There's that huge erasure. Nobody cares. In the medical sector, nobody cares. Nobody, when they train doctors, or I assume when Nigerian doctors are trained, they are not trained to even handle the fact that, or to know that, oh, this person, one of your patients might be trans, and this is how you relate with a trans patient and all of that. Something like that.
Gotcha. So Tim and Harry, back in the 1980s, the AIDS and HIV epidemic was very huge in America, and everybody was looking at it basically as the gay disease. Those are the only ones who could get it, and it was our punishment from God for being gay. How is HIV viewed in Nigeria, especially for those who are, what will we say, openly known people who have HIV, or when a person is known to have HIV, how are they viewed and how are they treated? Tim had to drink a glass of water.
I think I'm just going to leave this for Harry to speak on.
There's a stigma around HIV in Nigeria. While it is not perceived as a gay disease right now, but people know that gay men are part of the key populations, or men who have sex with men are part of the key populations of people who have to deal with HIV. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. A lot of times when you have conversations with people who are maybe heterosexual and you're like, oh, I am homosexual, for example, you're like, oh my God, be careful, though, there's HIV outside. Like there's a need to immediately attach the HIV to, queer identities almost immediately, in the sense of you have heterosexual men who constantly have sexual intercourse without protection, right? Which we can see by the rates of baby mamas that are out there in the streets. No offense to anybody, I'm just trying to make a point in the sense that we see
Black women being one of the highest percentages with
yes, exactly. So you see maybe this celebrity has a couple of baby mamas. There's always a story that this person has gotten someone pregnant, which just shows that a lot of unmarried young heterosexual men are having unprotected sex, right? But HIV is not the conversation that is had when it is brought up with those people, right? However, when it's like, oh, they see two men, maybe you peck another man on the cheek, they're like, oh my God, be careful, there's HIV outside, that kind of thing. So it is very interesting to see how the conversation is actually I feel like there's a level of homophobia to it, based on just the stigma that comes from from the past, and I think that it affects how people, even who are in the community, how they talk about their HIV status. People who are ashamed to tell their partners that they have HIV. They're ashamed to just even bring it up in conversations because they know that you'll be treated differently from everybody else. So people have to end up hiding their status. So it's a very tricky situation, and how it is always. But what I think the thing that just I find very fascinating is just how it is always brought up every single time, but it's never for gay folk, but it's never brought up for heterosexual people. When you don't even need research to let you know that they're the ones that are having constant unprotected sex with various people, so I just find it very interesting.
I would love to talk to you, Tim, about asylum. A lot of people are trying to seek asylum, trying to get out of the country to go to a country that is more accepting to their lifestyle, to those who are LGBTQ. What is the pathway into trying to seek asylum?
Interesting that you mentioned this, because the first thing I did when I got to this country was to seek asylum. I came here to school, I came here for a postgraduate degree, but that same week, I was like, okay, they will kill me in Nigeria. They will literally kill me in Nigeria. So I just applied for asylum, and I'm still in the process of trying to get my asylum and all of that. But when researching or when looking at most of the immigration laws, one thing that stood out was the fact that for you to claim asylum, you actually have to be in the country you are claiming asylum from. And that's something difficult for working class and low income Nigerians. Because like I said, it's expensive to leave the country. The visa process, the flights, getting flights, and it's expensive. So it's not something that everybody who is facing harassment can just get up and say, okay, I will just fly out, and then when I get there, I will seek asylum. No. Even when you're applying for your visa, you have to have a legitimate reason for coming into the country. During your visa application process, you can't say, oh, I'm coming in because I want to seek asylum. They won't give you the visa. So you legit have to come in for something else, and then while you are there, claim asylum. And that's not something that a lot of people can do. And in the asylum process in the UK, and it's a lengthy process. I've been here for 7 months or 8 months, and I'm actually still waiting for a date for my main asylum interview. Wow. I've had the preliminary asylum interview, but the actual asylum interview, I'm still waiting for a date for that. And it's been 8 months.
There are so many people who are trying to seek asylum.
Exactly.
Online.
There is. And there's the fact that while you're seeking asylum, You are not allowed to walk or do any of that stuff. So you're just in a limbo phase waiting for some white man to decide that, okay, the harassment you are going through in your country is valid enough for us to give you protection here. And that's just, so imagine that you wait all this period to get a date for your interview, then you have to wait again for them to decide after they have had that interview with you whether or not you are getting asylum. So it is a long process. It's a lonely process as well, because on moving or relocating on its own is actually a very depressing thing. It can get very lonely because you're in a new country, you know no one, and then you are queer as well. So that's already a lot to handle. Now, coming in as an asylum seeker that's something else entirely.
Yeah.
Moving to a different country, or moving to maybe the UK or the US, where you now have to start dealing with new experiences with racism and being a Black person, something you've never had to deal with all your life. So it's basically you maybe trading your experiences with homophobia for new experiences with racism. That's a lot for people to handle. And if there are ways where it would be cool, if there are ways, if help can actually be given to queer people that are escaping violences in their home country. I think there's there's an organization in the UK founded by a Nigerian, Living Free UK. It was founded by Dan, a Nigerian gay man, and I think he too sought asylum in the UK, and realizing how difficult the process was, he started Living Free UK to cater to asylum seekers from different countries in Africa, like provide support, guide them through the whole asylum process and all of that. And I think that's good work. I think it's cool that there are people doing stuff like that.
Agreed. All right, guys, we're coming close to the end of our show. This is the part where I want you to just tell me what's going on, what projects you're working on, what things you have going on, basically to market yourself. Tim, I'm going to start with you, and then we're going to go to you, Harry.
Okay, so I just had a publication of an article out with the 10th magazine. The 10th magazine is a magazine based in the United States focused on Black queer existence and experience. So that in that article, the piece was titled "Lesbian is not a dirty word." So I spoke to various Nigerian lesbians to get their experience and how they were able to become comfortable using that term lesbian, because it is a very stigmatized term back home in Nigeria. And currently I am writing another piece that would be touching on how queer folks back home in Nigeria and also in Ghana, where organizing and associating as queer folks have been criminalized, are able to use social media and group chats, basically virtual platforms, to actually provide mutual aid and support to each other and like just organize.
Wow. Thank you, Tim, for doing what you do. I am like hands down, bow out, like you are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Harry, what do you have coming up, or what are some projects you've worked on?
Yeah, our website is live. The resting times, please visit, engage with our content, engage with what we put out. We talk about the LGBT experience, not just in Nigeria, but across the African continent. So please engage, read stories from LGBT people. These are real stories of people who have gone through homophobia, transphobia, biphobia. Read their experiences, because what I've realized from just being here is like people don't really understand, how different it is, how our experiences are different, even though we are all LGBT. So just educate yourself. On our website, the documentary is out. It's called Defiant, and hopefully I'm working on a new documentary also. So there's that. We're just looking for funding. Just trying to get money. But yes,
money, y'all.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what is very important right now. But I have the documentary idea is ready, the subject is informed, we're ready to shoot. It's just to, hit the ground running. So expect more projects from the Western Times and from
And we do have a preview of Harry's one of his documentaries that we would love to show you guys. We would love for you to check this out.
There's this particular event that strikes me so much, and whenever I think about it, I feel so bad. Was the day one of them invited me over to his place, and when I got there, he tried to penetrate me, and I wasn't okay with that. So he tore my clothes, tore my trousers, tore my shirt, and I narrowly escaped him that evening. So when I got home, my mother asked me what happened, and I told her I went to the playground and I tore my stuff. So she beat me because of it, and it was just so much. I cried all night.
That was just a taste of one of Harry's project. If you are interested, I'll make sure to leave the link in the comments. Please support, especially if you want to have some type of understanding of what's going on outside of the U.S. and what other countries are really going through a very hard time of dealing with being LGBTQ. Again, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Harry, so much for being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you for taking your time out. Tim, thank you for working with us with your schedule. Tim is in a whole different time zone. So I just want to say thank you so much for working with us in that way. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. This was a lovely conversation.
Thank you. And claps to Harry for bringing us all together. You are awesome, Harry. And I hope to work with you some more in the future.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Rusting times. They're doing the work.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers for joining us this afternoon. You have been great. Make sure if you want to see this clip, you can find it on Facebook and also on YouTube. And if you want to, again, watch Harry's documentary, I will leave that link in the comments. If you have any more questions, I'm pretty sure these amazing individuals would love to hear your questions. If you guys want to leave your social media where people can find you and follow you, that would be great.
So I am Harry Itie on all platforms. So it's HARRYITIE. Yeah.
Yeah, I am Timinepre on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Oh, Timinepre with an underscore. Yeah. So
Awesome.
TIMINEPRE and then underscore.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to our Outspokeners for tuning in. And make sure you tune in for our next episode. And again, if you have any topics that you want to see, please DM me, write me, whatever you would like to do. We want to hear from you so we can talk about it. Use this platform to express how you feel about the LGBTQ community, and that's especially what we're here for. And we're also here to be less ignorant and to be more knowledgeable and more understanding about what's going on. So again, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.